Hello, everyone. It's amazing to see you all. I hope you're all doing well today. And it's time for another KenCast. We have a great discussion for you today. We're going to reflect on many things: Cobra Kai Season 5, Terry Silver and Robby, and of course, news. So we want to hear from all of you. Thank you for joining us today. And if you're watching on replay, even better. We've got a lot to talk about, and I'm sure you'll want to go back in the future and watch it all again. And I am very honored and pleased to bring in our very special guest. He's joined me in some crucial live streams before, including from the bottom of Terry Silver's billboard on Sunset Boulevard. Yes, yes, indeed. He held that together. He is the very talented performer, writer, comedian, Rich Baker. Rich,
Hey,
how are you today?
everybody. Good, Ken.
Great.
Good to see you.
It's great to have you. How are you doing this Saturday?
Oh, good. It's a Saturday is always just the day where you just, I don't know, I feel the most energized. And you're like, you want to live stream on Saturday? It's like, heck yeah, I do. Hey,
Nice. That's
you,
great. And of course, for everyone who doesn't know, Rich is a fan of all movies, writer, and everything like that. Huge fan of the Karate Kid movies and of the Cobra Kai series. And you personally taught Gianni DiCenzo, who plays Dimitri on Cobra Kai.
yeah, great guy. He's funny in the show, obviously, but like as an improviser, he's just as sharp as anyone I've worked with. He's and just just a cool person to be around. Always got good stories and stuff. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a good dude.
Yes, indeed. I want to take a second and say hi to everyone here. Miguel, great to see you. Cobra Kai World, great to see you. George, thanks for joining us. Kieran, wonderful to see you. Cameron says, "Hey, Rich." And of course, Big T. Big T's watching. Hello, Big T. It's an honor to have you here. Fan of all movies, and of course, you're a big fan of the movies that Big T, Terry Silver's involved in, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you're a big Terry Silver fan.
100%.
Yes, 100%. Exactly.
Of course.
Marco says Cobra Kai never dies.
Never die.
Mario, good to see you, Mario. So Rich, it's amazing to have you here. Can you tell us, you watched Cobra Kai Season 5?
Yeah.
So tell us your thoughts.
Oh man, I thought it was a great season overall. There was a couple of parts of it that were like interesting, but overall I thought the narrative was really good and extremely satisfying. All the character arcs, and of course the final fight with LaRusso and Silver was with the when he stops him with the knee and the elbow thing.
Yeah.
That was insane. I just thought to me that show's getting better as it goes along, which historically a lot of shows tend to get worse as they go along, and only the really good ones get better. And I'm just happy to say this show's a really good one.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know, it's kind of a special thing. I'm trying to think of anything else that's quite like Cobra Kai in sort of the histories of like starting out a movie franchise and then bringing it to television. I mean, there haven't been many series who have done this, right?
I mean, I think there've been some that have tried but haven't done a really good job of it. But yeah, like the closest thing I can think of, I'm probably missing something, but when Bill and Ted did the new movie, I thought that was a pretty decent like love letter to the fans kind of movie. But I don't want to see a Bill and Ted TV show.
Right.
I can't imagine some writers making that last multiple seasons.
Right, because that's probably the biggest challenge, is taking the idea and making it last over like many episodes, many seasons, instead of like, that Bill and Ted movie, which is kind of like a one-off. You only have to take care of that hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, but Cobra Kai, I mean, ever since the first episode, has really done a great job of just encapsulating that feel of the movies, but giving us also something new and something that can expand, obviously, significantly larger.
Indeed. And we've got Kate Maloney, who says that Dimitri is her favorite character, which is great.
He's great.
Lisa says, "Hi, how are you, Ken and Rich?" Yeah, great to see you. Are you guys going to come out with season 6? Because you left us in the cliffhanger. You know what? I think if it were up to Rich and me, I mean, season 6 would be out tomorrow, next week?
Yesterday.
Oh yeah. Peter Vonasak from Cobra Kai Companion Podcast says hello to both of us. Good to see you. And then he follows up and says, Bill and Ted had a live series. I actually liked it. I didn't know that.
Kidding.
I know about the cartoon.
I watched the cartoon as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah, the Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, I didn't know there was a live series though.
Okay, now I've got something to do some homework on. I gotta check that out. Yes, save Silver. Okay, guys, this is the beginning. You have no idea what's coming. We're going to be doing this amazing campaign to save Terry Silver, and I'm going to get your thoughts on that whole Terry Silver incarceration thing, Rich, because that I don't know. That's just ridiculous. Big T, if you're watching, I apologize. You know, your alter ego in prison. It shouldn't be. Marco says free Silver. Indeed. All right. So Rich, I am going to bring in some news. We're gonna talk about actually. Sorry, guys. This is a new platform. This is live. We're freewheeling it here. Here we go. Here's some news.
KenCast News.
All right. There we go. All right.
I like it.
Oh, heck yeah. All right. So we're bringing in some news. Okay. So here's some news for you, Rich. And some of you who've been following KenCast know about this news, but I'd like to get everyone's thoughts on sort of the big ticket news items. The first is that Cobra Kai season 6 might be delayed. Okay. So this apparently is because they are obviously super talented. They're working on multiple projects. You've got, I think Josh Heald is working on an Ancient Aliens movie. You've got John, Josh, and Hayden working on Obliterated, a new action comedy series on Netflix. They're shooting it right now. There's a Ferris Bueller spinoff that they're working on that's been announced as well. So they've got all these projects going on. So they said it might be a little bit of a wait for Cobra Kai season 6. So I don't know, Rich, tell me your thoughts on this. Is this a good thing? Aside from the fact that, you know, we'll have to wait longer.
You know, it's one of those things in Hollywood, you know, once you get hot as a creator, everyone wants a piece of you, which is awesome for them. And I hope, you know, that's awesome that they're getting all these projects and different things. I love that they're not trying to do too much, because like, if they were like, we're doing all this and we're getting season 6 out next season, I'd be like, that's because, you know, that's what happened with Game of Thrones. They got super busy and Game of Thrones got watered down. And I mean, some would say Thor Love and Thunder was a product of Taika Waititi taking on like a zillion projects, and Thor Love and Thunder kind of suffered from it. And so, you know, if they want to do these other projects and then wait to give all their energy to season 6 later, I would rather wait and get their best than get anything that feels rushed or watered down.
You put that so well. I 100% agree with you. And let me ask you this. If they are able to devote their full attention to it, do you have an opinion on how many more seasons they should do?
That's a great question. Do you got one ready to go? Because I'd have to think about it for a second.
I don't know. I think as long as they have story, I'm with them. So if they have story they want to tell, I'm with them. I know a lot of people are afraid that, you know, is this going to stretch out beyond, like that happens sometimes with some series, you know, where they just keep on doing more seasons, maybe where it's beyond its expiration date, you know, or but I think as long as they have more story, I'm with them. You know, and I wouldn't mind if, you know, there's a season 6 and 7, maybe even 6, 7, 8, if they've got the story for it.
I hear you, and totally agreed. If the creators are inspired to make a new season, I want to see it. But if, you know, Netflix or some production company says we need 3 more seasons out of you, figure it out, that's probably not something I'd want to see.
Right, indeed. And Robana, good to see you, Robana. She says they're gonna. I could see Netflix saying the 6 seasons in a movie, so they'll come back, do one more season, and then maybe they'll try and do like a one-off movie or something like that, which could be cool. And then Cobra Kai World says season 7 will be the last one. Okay, so that would be interesting. I think if they know when the end is going to be, like if they know they definitely have a season 6 and 7, that's great, because you can write for that and you can sort of plan for that ending that you would want.
And that's like Breaking Bad, right? Like you know, he knew how much he wanted, and you know, it was AMC would have been like, you could have 1 million seasons. This is our most popular show, and they were like, nope, our story is done here. And then of course they had a movie later, so it wasn't completely done, but like narrative arc of the show felt so satisfying in that ending. And that's what I think we all want from Cobra Kai, is at when it lands to be like, what a ride.
Right. Well, now you bring up that movie, El Camino, the Breaking Bad movie. What was your thought about that? Because people have talked about how, Cobra Kai could end and then they could do a movie and stuff. But I thought it was good, but it was almost like this coda. It felt sort of, to me, non-essential. I don't know what your opinion is, but it was nice to have, but you didn't need to watch it. And you watch it and it's only 2 hours and you're like, oh man, you wish there could be so much more after watching a full series. Do you have any opinion about these sort of capper movies after a series is finished?
To me, El Camino was exactly how I think it should be done, because Breaking Bad was the story of Walter White. And when Breaking Bad ended, his narrative arc was done. But then, we still had this, what about Jesse, that was kind of left in the air. And it was like, okay, let's have a little coda, or, just a little addendum of here's what happened to Jesse. And so if Cobra Kai is the story of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny, for example, and that whole thing ends or whatever, but then there's still, what about Hawk and Dimitri's, go to White Castle or what, I don't know what the what the answer, but if there is a thread that you're like, oh, there's an hour and a half left of storytelling here, let's do a movie for it, I'm all for it.
Yes. And Peter says, my 2 cents on El Camino, I didn't quote need it, but I loved it. It had all the staples. You have a Breaking Bad episode, right?
I hear you, Peter. Yep.
Yeah, it's like they such a great creative team on that whole thing. And you saw Better Call Saul?
No, I didn't actually. Everyone tells me I should have, but I think I saw the first 4 episodes back in the day, but I haven't seen it.
Definitely check that out. It's great because it's all finished now, so you can just binge the whole thing if you want.
There you go. I'll see you in a week.
Exactly. The Binary Brothers Chronicles, numero uno. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be wonderful.
Nice.
Okay, so our next news item is there's the new movie that's been announced by Sony. They call it The Return to the Original Karate Kid franchise. It's been announced for 2024. They haven't really announced a writer or director that's officially involved with it. We don't know really anything about it, and neither do the Cobra Kai creators. John Hurwitz is basically saying that they'd love to do a movie, but this is separate from what they're doing on Cobra Kai, and that they wish it well. Rich, I don't know, how does this hit you? The idea of doing another Karate Kid movie, but really not involving anyone with Cobra Kai, but they're calling it a return to the original Karate Kid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just not sure what that means, right? It's pretty ambiguous. We're going to return to it's we're already in this. We didn't leave. We're here right now. What do we need to return?
Right.
Cobra Kai is presently there. So I don't know if that means they're going to reboot it, doing the next Karate Kid or something like that. I mean, I have no idea what it means, but it always makes me suspicious when the studio announces something rather than the creators, because I'm like, oh, we're the studio, we're gonna make that, we're just gonna announce that this thing's gonna happen, and then we'll find the creators. I'm like, maybe that'll work, but I really think creator-led projects are where Hollywood has its, I don't know if it has its most money, but definitely has its best stories when it's that way.
Right. Like this Cobra Kai series, where they had the passion, they had the idea for the Cobra Kai series, and they pitched it to a number of different networks. And, it was just this great idea, this creative vision. Whereas, I think what you're saying is it's almost like maybe Sony saying wow, there are a lot of Karate Kid fans. Let's make a movie. We're just going to announce the movie and then we'll find people.
Yeah. Yeah. I use this term a lot. I know it gets overused, but I mean, I think it's the perfect term. The whole idea of the love letter to the fans, right? It's if you're going to make another Karate Kid thing, do it for the people who like Karate Kid. And then if you get new viewers, great, which Cobra Kai actually, has done a really good job of, but make it for the people who already want it. And the way and I don't know anything other than this press release that you've got, right? But just based on this, it doesn't sound like that's what they're doing.
Right. And, again, I always, if someone does have a plan for this, a vision, I want to see it. Like if they're going to make this and they love the Karate Kid and they have a vision for a new Karate Kid movie, I want to check it out. That's great. But yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. It's like we'll have to kind of wait and see what the details are on this.
Oh man. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the chats over here, and Zaround 1000. I don't know if you saw this. A movie for young Miyagi.
Yes. Let me bring up this comment. So Zaround says, why won't they make movies for young Miyagi taking place nearly a century ago and the adventures of a teen and young man Miyagi like the Star Wars prequels?
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. And that's the great thing I think about the Miyagi-verse is there's so many different characters in different time periods we just don't know about that probably have these amazing stories.
Well, you could go back to Chosen, like we saw like his dad training him as a kid. And it's like, what? That's a whole universe in there of his family. And then you could do like the sensei that Terry Silver talked about, like his whole thing. And then of course the Miyagi thing. You've got all these old sensei dojo things, whatever, like from back in the day. It's like a period piece Karate Kid. 100%.
Yeah. I'm on board with that as well. And Kate Maloney brings up the 2010 remake. The two things that hurt the Karate Kid in 2010 was that it was not karate and Jackie Chan was no Pat Morita. And Rich, did you ever see that remake?
I did. And Kate, mad respect, of course. And it was not Pat Morita, but at the same time, I think Jackie Chan, like if that had been a different movie, and of course, if Jaden Smith or whatever the kid's name is wasn't ever anywhere near a camera ever, but if Jackie Chan played, like he played the hell out of that role, and like that scene in the car where he's crying and drinking over his wife and all this stuff, like I thought that was a really beautiful scene, and I think Jackie Chan's a great actor. I hate that he had to live in the shadow of Pat Morita for that role because I thought he did a good job. It just wasn't what Karate Kid fans were wanting necessarily.
Right. And do you think the movie kind of like it was the Karate, it was a remake of the story, but it's like it was kind of close to the original, but they changed some things, like you're saying, where it was close enough that you're comparing him with Pat Morita. It's like they didn't change it enough.
When they were going to do Beverly Hills Cop 3 or Beverly Hills Cop 4, like in the 90s, and I don't remember what happened, but they wound up, instead of it being a Beverly Hills Cop movie, they called it Metro. And it was just a standalone movie where Eddie Murphy was playing a detective or whatever, that was similar to the Beverly Hills Cop series, but they were like, oh, this is different enough, we're going to make it stand on our own. And I felt like that was that movie of like, oh, you're trying to get on this Karate Kid thing, but really just make a Jackie Chan movie because Jackie Chan makes great movies. We don't necessarily need him to be Mr. Miyagi.
Right. That's a great point. I love that point. And David jumps in and says young Miyagi would be great. Robana, a young Terry and Kreese series. Heck yeah. I'd love to see all that.
Sure. Vietnam. Go back to Vietnam. We'll see more of that stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. Terry also says young Terry and Kreese would be awesome, but no Thomas. Right. Thomas Ian Griffith's amazing. It'd be hard to watch Terry without Thomas Ian Griffith in there somehow. Yeah, Marco, I see that comment. I won't bring it up though. That's pretty funny. Okay. Let's go to
someone. If you don't mind, real quick, there was a few comments ago. Someone said Stingray is my favorite character, and I'd watch a standalone thing with him. I don't know where it was, but it was around again. I was like, okay, here's my pitch. Stingray goes around the country a la Kung Fu, and he's like our new Kung Fu guy, but it's Stingray.
That would be great. Oh my gosh.
I'm in.
There you go. Rich, you should pitch that. I that would be absolutely incredible. I think everyone would be on board too.
Yeah.
Everyone, including Paul Walter Hauser. I'm sure he'd love to do that.
That guy's great.
He's amazing. Let me plug a few things, guys. If you haven't seen it, I've got a link in the description. This is my new analysis video. It's 7 lessons that Star Wars can learn from Cobra Kai. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. This is my longest analysis video yet. And I think I've isolated these main things that Star Wars, if they applied these lessons from Cobra Kai, I think Disney would do a better job of pleasing more of its fan base. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. Also, if you haven't seen Cobra Cole, I'm proud to say that Rich, who is here with us today, worked on Cobra Cole. Thank you, Rich, for all your help.
Dude,
it was a
thanks for
fun
having me.
it was so much fun to do,
was so
and thank
fun.
you for helping.
Everyone you had on that set was great. Just go back to your video that you made about the Star Wars. I watched the whole thing and I thought that was extremely thoughtful. And I'm like, Ken, I'll take as much of that literary criticism of movies and different things that you want to. Like, you're so good at just like dissecting and playing. Like, what about this and this, that, and the other?
Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's insane. It's like, I think people are interested in this type of stuff. And so yeah, if definitely, if you like it, share it. And you know, who knows, maybe I'll make more of them. So that's great. If you haven't seen Cobra Cole, definitely check it out, especially if you're into the legal side of Big T and his maybe involvement of members of my family. I don't know. You might have to check it out to find out. All right, Rich. So we are wanting to bring up, you are a performer. You do a lot of things. You teach, you write, you perform. This is, can you tell us about this picture here?
Oh yeah, there's me and that's three. We're the secret agents of comedy. That's Mission Improbable. We're backstage right before we hit the stage for a show. So we perform every Saturday at 10 p.m. at the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica. I'm not in every show. There's about 20 of us in the cast and 4 or 5 in any particular show. But that night I want to just brag about, because that was last week. It was only 7 days ago, and that night, so normally the show is just us. We do about an hour and 20 minutes. It's a 10 p.m. show. It's pretty great. But last week, we're walking to the theater, the 4 of us, and the theater manager comes up to us and he goes, "Hey guys, can I talk to you for a second?" And like, we're like, "What happened? The theater burned down? What's going on?" And he's like, "Adam Sandler's here, and he wants to know if he can open for you."
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, "Tell that bum to get out of here." No, we're like, "Of course." Of course. So Adam Sandler does like 15, 20 minutes. And it was, yeah, there it is. That's the picture it took. It was a sold out house. So he comes in, they're already pumped for our show, having no idea there, but no one knew. Like, he just literally showed up and asked. So there was no forewarning for anybody. And they get this bonus of seeing Adam Sandler. And then for me personally, the coolest thing was, because no one's really ever opened for MI before, but it's pretty common in LA and New York, a place like that, for famous stand-ups to come in and, "Hey, can I bump someone, get 15 minutes?" And then they do it and then they leave because they're just working on stuff, which is cool.
Right.
But Sandler did 15 minutes. And then unbeknownst to me, when I hit the stage, he sat down with his daughter and watched like the first 20 minutes of our show before they left.
Wow.
And the Sandman has seen me do some comedy, which is kind of, I mean, if you told 12-year-old Rich Baker that Adam Sandler would one day watch him perform on stage, just blew my mind.
Congratulations. That's fantastic. And, you know, and I've seen you perform, obviously. I've actually taken a class with you. You're an amazing teacher and an amazing performer. And tell everyone, this is a very specific style of comedy, right? That you perform.
The MI, it's short form improv. It's very high energy kind of thing. But yeah, like, I do improv of all different ilks. So long form, short form, kind of narrative stuff and whatnot. And I tend to teach people a mix of short and long form whenever I teach my classes.
Fantastic. Well worth taking a class if you're interested, and you can do it online, right?
Yep. Yeah, I teach most of my classes are online, actually. A handful in person every once in a while, but mostly online.
That's fantastic. And then we have some upcoming things to promote as well. Tell us about this. I'll make this a bit bigger.
Oh, yeah. If you're in Los Angeles area, in 2 days, Monday, I've got Monologues in Mayhem at the Glendale Room. That's Bob Badori. He's going to be our storyteller. And then there's 6 of us in the cast who are going to take his stories and turn them into improv. It's an hour-long show, and it's a lot of fun. And if you haven't been to the Glendale Room, it's this super cute space that's been open for a year now. Really nice space. That's where Dimitri from Cobra Kai was in. This storyteller's name is Bob Badori. He's from Salt Lake City, but Dimitri was a storyteller back in January of this year for that very show.
Yes, and I was there. An amazing show. That was so much fun. So yeah, if you're in the area, definitely check it out. And then let's see, we've got. Okay, now tell us about Monologues in Mayhem.
That's the show.
Same show.
So this is the cast. So the previous graphic was the storyteller, and this is the cast who's going to make up all the improv based on his stories.
Amazing. That's fantastic. So everyone in the area, definitely check it out. These are well worth it. Very funny shows. We have some questions for you, Rich. Mario asks, do you want to see yourself as a 3D cartoon in art?
Yes, please. if you're volunteering to turn me into 3D cartoon and art, Mario, I humbly accept. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Kate Maloney, there are so many great liners in Cobra Kai. Thank you so much. Yeah. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Also, let's just talk about your acting in that real quick, because like acting on camera, if you've never done it, is not the easiest thing. Like live streaming is its own thing, but like having to hit your marks and say the lines in a time when the camera's moving, and you crushed that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Although I'll say there wasn't too much acting involved because I am truly terrified of angering Terry Silver in real life. So all of that was very authentic. So definitely check that out. Terry Johnson says, I'm glad you had this today, Ken. Needed a nice distraction since I'm in the hospital. Well, oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that, Terry. No. We're thinking about you, but they're fixing it. Just need something. Well, we're here for you. And guys, no matter what you're going through in life, our greatest hope right now is that we can help you through your day, that we can make you happier. Right, Rich?
Amen. Yeah. What are we doing this for if not to spread a little joy, right?
Exactly. Rich Baker, what is your Instagram account name?
Oh, thank you very much. At Rich Baker Actor. At Rich Baker Actor.
Wonderful. So Rich, we have kind of our discussion we're launching into today. First thing I want to bring up, and some of you have mentioned this, is our situation with our friend Big T, Terry Silver.
He's in the back of a cop car.
Yeah, what is going on here, Rich? Like, does this make sense to you?
Obviously, this is a world of fiction because we know that rich people don't go to jail in this country. That's just how it works. So this is clearly a work of fiction, and it's nice to play pretend.
I know, right? Because this guy's not only rich, he's a philanthropist. I mean, he's supporting underprivileged kids. He's doing all this work for the community, and they didn't even think twice. They just hauled him in the back of a cop car for what? I'm not exactly sure. Was he in the middle of committing a crime, or was it just based on what someone said?
As I understand it, it's really based on Stingray's testimony. As far as that was really the main thing. But also, if it's problematic because if someone changes their story, usually people don't believe them just right off the bat. They need some kind of evidence or something. So I'm not sure if this is going to stick.
Yeah, it seems like this this detective is really jumping the gun here. And I put this image up because, I think this is an injustice. And we had a discussion, with actual real lawyers talking about how Terry could easily get out. And not only that, the other people who are breaking into his house and doing all these things, they're the ones who committed crimes,
Absolutely.
And they need to be hauled off. Unfortunately, I know we all love Daniel and Chosen and Mike Barnes and, and Johnny, but, they committed some crimes, and Terry warned them about that before they were committing the crimes.
Oh, oh my God, Peter Vanuasak, I don't know how to pronounce the name. Speaking of, do we know these are real cops? That's interesting.
Yeah, Peter's got a great point. We don't know they're real cops, do we? No. I mean, and I don't know what that means. You were talking about the Beverly Hills Cop movies before. This is what, Reseda Cops or something like that. We don't know.
What if Terry hired fake cops to arrest him to make people think that they got the better of him? I mean,
oh, I love that. So this is part of Terry's plan, you're saying?
I mean, well, we don't know, but I mean, I could see that, couldn't you?
I could. I totally could see that, and that would fake everyone out. And Justin says, Ken and Rich, you two are cool. Love you guys.
Love you back, Justin.
Yeah, we love you too, man. That's great. Terry says, if they follow real life, not only Terry is going to prison. Yeah, exactly. Now Marco says something about he also changed the color of his eyes. I'm not sure what this is related. Is this Terry? I wouldn't put it past Terry to change the color of his eyes.
I wouldn't put it past Terry to do anything. He's a schemer, man. He's got plans on plans.
He does. And Tammy says Silver won't be in jail. Not enough evidence. And if he goes to jail, he would just bribe someone to get out.
Sure.
And, I think we're kind of, the word bribe, it's such a harsh word. I mean,
it's an ugly word.
It's an ugly word. I mean, you talk about the real world, Rich? How does the real world work? Right? It's like you want to benefit someone else, and then hopefully they do something to benefit you. That's friendship. Isn't that friendship?
Right? One hand washes the other. I think that's the Bible or something.
It is it? Yes. Zaround says, is Terry over 70? What about elder abuse? Exactly. Elder abuse.
Interesting.
I mean, think about that. If he's over 70, first of all, I got to say this for people who are saying that Terry Silver is dying. Okay. A dying over 70-year-old does not do the type of things that Terry did in the finale. No. Terry was a beast. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So he's, Kate says, is stand your ground law in California? Yeah, there is. There actually is a type of stand your ground. So he was well within his rights to defend himself.
I mean, again, they came to his place. He was just at home, just chilling with his assassin ninja bodyguards. Just hang out on a Saturday night. I got like 20 killers here, just hanging, whatever.
Right. I mean, which is crazy. That was crazy of them to do. Like they should have, I know they were all drunk, but my goodness, what were they thinking? So you think if this follows anywhere close to real life, we could be seeing our, quote unquote heroes facing legal consequences at the beginning of season 6.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Stingray might get in trouble. He lied under oath, right?
He did. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, 100% lied under oath. And I think his testimony was the only thing that put Kreese into jail. Yeah, I'm wondering, is this a real justice system here? I don't know.
I mean, no. It exactly. Is. I love this show, but I mean, like a friend of mine the other day was like, the acting, it's hard for me to get behind the acting. I'm like, it's soap opera acting. Like it's a stylized high concept show. You got to just.
Right. Exactly. I know. And it's like, it's tough because I think a lot of our entertainment now is like, it's so grounded and, everyone's looking for that very like realistic, gritty type of thing. And then, this is a totally different style. And I love that. I mean, let's, for a second, if you don't mind, Thomas Ian Griffith. I mean, didn't he do just an amazing job?
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Just incredible. And I'm just going to throw this up there.
KenCast, Thomas Ian Griffith.
That's right. Thomas Ian Griffith, guys. He's incredible. It's like the type of character and the style of acting I haven't seen for decades. They don't do this anymore. They don't make shows or movies like this anymore.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't he a soap opera actor?
He did. He started in soap operas.
Yeah. So, I mean, and like, I got no problem with soap opera. I don't watch them because they're hastily put together, but the style of them, the amazing drama and the like, brum, 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 like, right. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. And that's what this show is, just super well done.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And those actors on soap operas are really, man, they have such a difficult job, and they do such a great job just with rewrites and new scripts all the time and everything like that. And so, Thomas Ian Griffith is amazing. And then Sean Kanan, who plays Mike Barnes, has done decades work in soap opera as well. And I thought his performance was really good in season 5.
100%.
And amazingly different from Mike Barnes in Karate Kid 3. And if you only know Sean Kanan from Karate Kid 3, I think you'll be surprised by the performance he gives in Cobra Kai season 5. But those of us who've seen him in other things know that he's very versatile.
Yeah.
Now, Rich, you wanted to bring up Tanner Buchanan as Robby, because he seemed that something struck you about this character in season 5, and tell us about that.
I don't know. I don't know the man. I've never met him. So no offense if this gets back to anything, but I really didn't care for his acting for the first 4 seasons. I thought he was kind of the weakest. His acting, I just felt wasn't that great, and I really wanted it to be good. And I was just like, okay, we got someone who's just not a great actor. But in this last season, I don't know what it was, but I couldn't get enough. I watched him every moment. I was just interested. I don't know if he got an acting coach or if it's something changed or whatever, but the way he approached the role, he didn't change the role dramatically or anything, but just I don't know, it felt so much more grounded and I cared about it. And I didn't feel like it was someone reading lines. I felt like he was the character. So it's a backhanded compliment because I'm like he's a good actor now, but like, and I don't mean to insult him, but I just didn't care for his acting, and then this season I was extremely pleasantly surprised.
So, because you're a performer and you're a writer as well, do you think it was something about the way the part was written that changed, or do you feel like it was like a pure performance shift that really grabbed you?
It's a good question. Like I don't think the writing for his character was necessarily bad before, but I don't know. Like I'm a different actor now than I was a year ago, and that's true for everyone every year who stays long. The longer you stick with anything, you're a different, YouTuber than you were a year ago, etc.
Yeah.
So, like, my guess is that he's just gotten better in his own skin, and maybe he found a new technique or something, or maybe it just all the stars aligned. I don't know, but like if I met him, I would be like, I'd be like, I don't want to insult you, but you got a lot better. Good job.
So now, when did you notice this? Like, obviously, Robby had some big scenes in this. Like early on, he had some actually great heart-to-heart moments with Johnny, his father. Later on, as we saw in the thumbnail for this video, and then also in that image, he confronts Terry Silver in the Cobra Kai dojo.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where everything clicked for you with Robby?
Yeah, honestly, that first episode, because I honestly, the relationship between him and Johnny, like I get it, but I never felt it from his side. Like I felt it from Johnny's side. And like that first episode, I was like, oh, the dynamic feels a lot more two-sided now. It feels a lot more real. And like, especially when he's eating the hot peppers and things. And I'm just like, oh, I really am enjoying his performance.
Yeah. Yeah. I know Tanner. I love Tanner. I think Tanner's fantastic. He always reminded me, the character of Robby and the way it was approached in season 1 always reminded me of Jonathan Brandis in Sidekicks, and it almost feels like the type of part that Jonathan Brandis, if he were that age right now, he would play Robby. Like Jonathan Brandis would play this role. And
if this was shot in 1994, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think he's done a really amazing job. And I agree, like as the series has gone on, I think he's really grown into this role, and he's had just so much more to do. And in season 5, yeah, I really felt that. I felt that relationship with Johnny. We had that heartfelt moment at the end of season 4. And yeah, I'm on board with Robby, and what they're doing with the character. And yeah, Tanner's done, I think, just an amazing job.
His interaction with I don't know if I forget the character's name, but the young kid who's then the new Cobra Kai, bad boy, like the dynamic between those two was really great. Like I brought you in and now you're this. And I mean, I think their relationship is one of the most interesting I think we've seen in the last couple seasons.
Right, which is tied directly in with Terry Silver, because Terry is mentoring him, and then we had the Terry Silver Robby confrontation as well. I know he's really in a very interesting kind of a linchpin, and then of course his relationship with Tori. Now Kate has a question for. I'll ask you this. Kate asks, isn't 75% of acting what the director can get from an actor? So you've performed, you've directed as well, Rich. Like, what do you think about this relationship between an actor and a director?
It's super interesting because every director there's no cookie cutter directors. You've directed, I've directed, everyone's got their own unique style. And I'll use Mark Wahlberg as an example because I don't think he would care at all about me talking about his acting. I don't think he's a good actor. unless he is with a good director. So like in The Departed, loved him, right? But in like The Happening, I was like, this is the worst acting ever. So there's that. But for me, I also know that honestly the thing that makes or breaks good acting is editing, because I
Yes.
have shot stuff where the performance wasn't good and I edit it to make it look great, and I have absolutely seen good performances turned into crap in the editing floor. So
Right.
anytime I'm talking about an actor in film, I always know that there's other factors involved.
Right. And, honestly, too, you talk about the editing, which takes are selected. I mean,
Yes.
because you can have, say 3 different takes, 5 different takes or more, and each one might be a little bit different. And
Oh yeah.
depending on, the director and the editor, which ones they select, it can shift the performance in a certain way, and it can mess with, say, the tension of a scene, the tension of a moment, the relationship with characters. And so, yeah, as an actor, you're kind of at the mercy of the editor in a way, and that's different than, say, being on stage, right, Rich? I mean, you get up on stage. I mean, you're in full control of what you do.
Yeah, they say stage is an actor's medium and film is a director's medium, right? So there, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but I mean, there's plenty of examples of this in history, but I mean, I've personally taken like someone's reaction to one line that wasn't very good and edited that to be the reaction to a totally different line. And when you put those together, it works.
Right.
And you're like, and the actors rarely remember, because usually, you're not even seeing the project till 6-7 months after you shot it, so you don't remember what you did. But
Right.
I shot one thing, and this one woman was like, "You getting a lot of praise for her, like, oh, really funny comedic timing." And I'm like, that timing was me and my partner in the editing bay finding little things to make her timing good.
Right.
And they don't all do that. But what I'm saying is, like, actors can only do so much on camera. But that said, if you've got like a long take and it's just the actor doing their thing, you can usually get a good sense of how their acting feels.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of acting, Eliza says Sherlow's acting was also really good this season. Miguel, yeah, he was asked to do quite a bit as well. Like that whole Mexico section, reconnect with his father who didn't know who he was. So he's always been very solid, I think.
And his dynamic with Robby too, right? Like
Yes.
those two having this like we're brothers but we hate each other, kind of thing. And I thought that's their relationship to me is such a great parallel for Johnny and the Cruddy and Daniel,
Right. And then Eliza follows up and says, I'm not the biggest fan of Terry, but I thought some of what he taught Kenny was good. He definitely took it too far and too evil, but he got him to see himself as a leader, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, this is an example. Terry Silver, he's not all bad. Like he's got these great qualities. He's helping people become better. I mean, look what he did for Kenny, right?
Yeah, well, it's the Sith Lord versus the Jedi. Like, now we look at Star Wars and we're like, man, the Jedis weren't purely good, right? They had some messed up stuff. Like they weren't purely good, and maybe the Sith were purely evil in the Star Wars universe. But like, you can turn someone into a Force wielder either way. It's just like taking it too far.
Exactly. Rich Baker, Jesse Cofan says, I love Gianni's fighting skills.
He's so good. And and he did tell us, I don't know if you remember Ken at that show, but he did talk about like how much they had to put into the fight choreography and the practice and all that stuff. And I mean, they worked their butts off.
Yes, they did. I mean, and look at what Gianni does. Like, I honestly consistently think Gianni's fantastic, like in that show, just in every way. Good. He's so good. Rabana says, well, I have to run. Oh, great seeing you, Rabana. Ken Rich, have a great day. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
See you.
And Terry brings up this idea of dying. So every season they tease like someone's going to die, like a major character is going to die. And they, there were those leaks this season and they played with that. And it almost looked like they were going to kill off Kreese, but they didn't.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Like, to me, I feel like Cobra Kai is a kind of show where major characters don't die, or maybe they shouldn't die. Like you were talking about, the tone is very, it's not very grounded. I don't know. How would you feel about major characters dying in the show? Do they need to die?
It's not Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. I love it, but it's a very different beast. And when Johnny's buddy died, who actually died in real life, in the body bag in season 2, I think it was, like,
Yes.
that hit hard because it was really the only death we've seen on Cobra Kai. And I like that they're so rare that they're important. But if they start killing someone off every season or every episode or something like that, then it's like, well, this isn't the same show.
Right. I know. And it was strange. That moment that you're talking about, it hit me too. And then he died and they zipped up the body bag.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is a sad moment, but that's really funny. Like that's his line, like, get him a body bag, and he's in a body bag. Like, that's funny. But I just felt so strangely conflicted in that moment. Like, is this really heavy, or is this should be kind of funny or ironic? I don't know. But yeah, I know you're right. It's not Game of Thrones, and everyone wants these series to be Game of Thrones. They want people to die. That's a big plot twist. I don't know, but it's permanent.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's permanent.
I think the best example is when they broke Dimitri's arm, right? Like, that was this holy crap moment. And it was just a broken arm. Like, and that's a big deal. I don't want my arm broken, but at the same time, like, that was kind of the equivalent of death in this scene. And I like that that's like the borders are, okay, things are going to be dangerous, but we're not going to kill anybody,
Right. Right. I know. And that's also one of the things I loved about Terry Silver in Karate Kid 3 is that by taking death off the table, like, he wasn't going to kill anyone, it frees up all this wonderful room for him to be like petty, to be mean in a very petty way. And there's just delight in that. And we saw that this season when he was being very petty with Daniel at the charity function. It was great. He was just kind
that
of
was a
enjoying
masterclass on writing, antagonizing, because, like, Terry's such a great villain for many reasons, but I think that was such a good scene of, oh, I know exactly what buttons to push where I don't do anything wrong and he looks like an idiot.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. It was great. It was classic. It was really what that character is all about.
But Ken, we haven't talked about Kreese. Like, how do you feel about the whole prison break thing and that whole storyline?
Gosh, well, I'm glad he got out. I kind of missed Kreese a little bit. Like, I thought Kreese is a really good character. I felt like we didn't get a ton with him this season. I like that he was crafty enough to get out of prison, and that was kind of exciting that he broke out of prison.
Sure.
I don't know what that does regarding Terry Silver, because you've got the Stingray recanting his testimony, saying it was Silver, it wasn't John Kreese. But then look at what John Kreese did. He broke out of prison. He maimed doctors and security guards and got out. I mean, that doesn't make Kreese look good. It makes him look like a bad guy.
Oh yeah, if he hadn't broken the law before, he's definitely broken it now.
Right. So he's a fugitive. Like, I don't know. He broke out of prison. What is he, even if he gets cleared, like, he's committed new crimes now, right? So he's not going to walk.
It's funny we're talking about death there. I'm curious if they're going to give him a death arc in the last season of, like, he does one final thing to get revenge on Terry right before he, has a heart attack or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying for a while that Kreese may die, like, at some point in the series. And so, yeah, I could see it. I just hope if they kill off a character like Kreese, it's like very well done, and you're cool with it after you see it, because it makes sense. And I'm worried of them killing off characters, because what if there are future movies? What if there are future incarnations of these things, and you could have Martin Kove back for Kreese, but they've killed him, so that's my worry. Let's see. Jorge, I like it. Tear Bears in jail. Kreese is a fugitive, and Kimi Dauni is still out there. Yeah. And that's Kim Daun. Man, she's fierce. She's out there. She doesn't look like she's very happy with Terry. And it looks like in that flashback, she and Kreese had a little bit of a connection. You saw that they were kind of smiling and winking at each other. So she may look up to John Kreese as well. She might help him.
Yeah, I could see them teaming up 100%.
Yeah. Projects Hive says Kreese and Silver will take each other out. It could it, you talked about a death arc. Could it be like a double death?
God, that would be a blaze. Like that, I mean, that almost feels like a different show, but I mean, it would be very powerful if like they're both like dying and they're talking about Vietnam at the last minute and being like, something. I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. They could die. Of course, I don't want Terry Silver to die. No. I hope they come to an understanding somehow. I don't know if that's possible. I know they have a really dysfunctional, toxic relationship, but I hope somehow they could come to an understanding. Because Kreese did do stuff to Terry. He kind of manipulated Terry all that time, and
sure,
I guess Terry put him in prison. That's kind of the next level. But I don't know. Do you think there's any hope of reconciliation between those two?
The thought just occurred to me that if they somehow, and I have no idea how they would get there, but if they could somehow have Terry about to fall into a pit of snakes and John Kreese saves his life, that'd be way more interesting to me than a death arc.
Right. I totally agree. Let's see. David Harris says Cobra Kai Kid mentioned he took it hard when they faked Kreese's death and he thought it was real. That's interesting. Yeah, it looked like they just kind of killed him off. And I wonder if that's that moment the Cobra Kai Kid, Drew said that he almost like was done with the series. I wonder if that's when it was. We'll have to ask him sometime. Joey asked a question. We talked a little bit about this at the beginning, but Rich, very directly, do you think season 6 is the end of the series?
I'm just guessing here, but the formula has been taking stuff from the original movies, and then kind of expanding on it, and they're running out of track from the previous movie. There's not a lot left to do unless they go next Karate Kid or the Jackie Chan, one. So I could easily see season 6 being the last season, but I haven't heard any announcements or anything. Do you think it's the last one?
I don't know. See, the thing is right now, I was talking about this with someone else. With Netflix, like the creators of Cobra Kai are confident there's going to be season 6. Obviously, if it makes money, I'm sure Netflix will want to bring it back. But the fact that they haven't locked it yet, that's always subject for concern because you don't know if leadership or thinking is going to change in the future. And if they might go, you know what, how about instead of doing a whole season 6, we'll just do a movie or, hey, we want to go in a different direction. So sure. I think the sooner they officially announce that, the better, because the longer they go without officially announcing a season 6, God forbid we don't get a season 6. I'd say there's a 50-50 chance that season 6 will be the last season. I'm hoping for a season 6-7 that maybe they'll greenlight two more seasons or something like that.
Like a short season 7 or something like that.
Maybe so, or maybe a full one. I just hope that they get enough time to do everything they need to do. A lot of people have been wanting Julie Pierce, as you mentioned, from Next Karate Kid to come back. And I will give full credit. I don't know if he's watching today, guys, but Talking Straight with Nate. Okay. Great viewer. Met him here at a show in LA. Rich, he pointed out that the painting, the Rembrandt at the end of season 5 that Mike Barnes stole from Terry Silver. Okay. That Rembrandt was stolen from the Gardner Museum in Boston. Okay. Which is where the Next Karate Kid took place. So that might be a gateway for Colonel Dugan or Journey or Julie Pierce to get, because that connects the story to Boston, basically, where the Next Karate Kid takes place. So yeah, that's interesting. So obviously, if anything from Next Karate Kid needs to appear in Cobra Kai, it's Julie Pierce, Hilary Swank. It would be amazing just to have Hilary Swank on the show.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see her. Why not?
It would be amazing. And I still have this dream of Thomas Ian Griffith, Martin Kove, and Michael Ironside being together in one scene. I don't know if that's possible, but I mean, Michael Ironside, whatever you think of the movie, man, we had Michael Ironside as Colonel Dugan. Like, it would just be amazing to have Michael Ironside come back. So those are my wishes.
Yeah, he's got one of the best bad guy voices in the history of cinema, as far as I'm concerned.
I know. It's like, and who could out bad guy each other? Martin Cove, Thomas Ian Griffith, or Michael Ironside? Like, they're all iconic.
That's quite the trinity.
See, they need to team up. That would be an amazing team.
I'm on board.
To answer your question, Rich, Seth says 7 would be my guess. Too much to wrap up in a satisfying way in just one more season. And I'll back that. What do you think about the idea of if season 6 is going to be delayed? It'd be kind of anticlimactic if we have to wait a long time and it's just one more season.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, if they're going to delay it, give us at least 2 more, and then maybe film them both at the same time if they have the budget, and then release them like 6 months apart or something.
Right. Yeah. Basically, I guess like season 4 and season 5. Marianella brings up Alpha Elite versus Cobra Kai. Right. Because that was the Cobra Kai stand-in for Index Karate Kid, was the Alpha Elite. The
nice
glorified
memory there. Nice.
Yes, very good. They were glorified hall monitors at the high school.
God. I haven't seen that movie in so long, and memories are flooding back with you talking about it.
It's an interesting movie because it takes sort of the 80s formula of Karate Kid and tries to put it in the 90s. So it's like this kind of, it straddles the 2 decades. It's really, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. Yeah. And Kate says, considering how many times Kreese has, quote, died, the prison attack surprised me, but didn't make me believe it was lights out for the sensei. Yeah, it was kind of unceremonious, maybe, the way they did it. So
I'll admit, they had me for a second when they pulled him up and the blood looking stuff. Like, I was like, did they really do it? And then he gets up and I was like, nah, okay. Okay.
Right. So, talking about Kreese's death, if it were to happen, how would you do it, Rich? Like, what would you want to happen for Kreese to be killed off in a satisfactory way?
Bit by a cobra. Right? I mean, Cobra Kai, like, gotta end it with a cobra bite, right?
Wow. It makes so much sense. It's the first time I've heard anyone say that, but you're right. It would be poetic.
I don't know how he would get in the situation where that would make any kind of sense narratively, but boy, if they could figure it out and he literally died, or what, I could also see him getting bit by a cobra and then also surviving, but like making us think he died. So yeah, I don't know how would you want to see him go?
Well, going off on that, like, now that you've mentioned that, I can't get it out of my head, to be honest. So I think the way that could happen is someone like Terry Silver could arrange, and I'm sure with Kim Da-eun's help, could arrange a death match where they fight in a room or pit full of cobras. Like, I could see Terry putting that together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way. Or you could have someone just sneak a cobra into his, I don't know, duffel bag, if he still carries that around. I don't know. But yeah, I love that idea of the cobra, an actual cobra being involved. And I'm going to go further and say I think that's the only way Kreese should die. Like,
there you go.
The only thing that should take him out should be a cobra.
I love it.
Let's see. We got lots of great comments, guys. Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it.
So much good stuff.
I know. Gary Jones says, do you think they'll ever have guns in the show?
I hope not.
Right. I know. It just makes... Yeah. It would,
to me, guns in this show would be like lasers in an Old West. It's just like they don't belong there. Exactly.
It's like that moment from Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Where the guy's like, doing, and then he, just right. It's, I hope not.
You know the story behind that scene, right?
No.
Yeah. Harrison Ford had the flu, and it was supposed to be a fight scene, and he literally improvised that, and so it was like, keep it.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. Iconic moment in movie history. And Seth says that, guns would be a little too over the top.
Yeah. Size and swords, like, that's this world, right? If we're having weapons, it's Japanese weapons from ancient times.
Right. Yeah, and I love that. I love that bringing in those weapons was pretty amazing. LOL says, do you think Kreese could have beat Silver if he had fought him in season 5? I'll put this to you, Rich. Do you think Kreese could have won? Could he have beat Terry Silver?
I think physically they're probably matched, even though Silver's definitely got the reach on him. But I think the only way that either one of them is going to actually beat the other is to get mentally in their head. And I think Kreese might have a slight advantage on getting in Terry's head. But, you know, Terry's so wily. Who do you think would win?
I don't know. I'd have to say Terry Silver. It just looks like, as far as like them being in fighting condition at their ages, it just looks like Terry Silver is in better fighting condition than John Kreese. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've done these kind of fight videos before, but, you know, John Kreese really struggled to keep up with Johnny and lost actually to Johnny. Whereas Terry's just, man, he was able to really keep up with Chosen. Like, like Terry's pretty, he's a beast. He's really good.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
that would be tough. Let's see. Joey says, I feel like it was a missed opportunity to have Sean in season 5. Hopefully he's in season 6. And I don't know if this is a referring to Sean Payne, Kenny's brother, who is in juvie. So basically, are you saying maybe Sean should have been in there with Kreese? Should have been in prison with Kreese, like Sean Payne. Interesting. Yeah, that could have been pretty cool. And Zaround says Terry Silver would have won in Karate Kid 3 as well. He definitely seemed to last longer than John Kreese against Mr. Miyagi. I mean, neither of them made it too far, but Terry did seem to last a little longer.
And even though it's a fictional universe, like reach matters, you know, in any fight, whether it's karate or boxing or whatever. And like Terry's huge and Kreese is small, and you know, like that's a big advantage.
Yes. And let me ask you this, Rich. This is a question from Rudimentary. Do you think Dutch will ever change his mind and come back? So Chad McQueen, the actor who played Dutch in the original Karate Kid movie, I guess his daughter's gone on social media and said, thank you for the interest, everyone, but Chad McQueen will not be reprising his role as Dutch in the Cobra Kai series. Thank you all. You know, it was kind of like something like that. Do you think that if an actor or actor's family states something like that, that's final? Or do you think that there's a chance that Chad McQueen could come back?
Obviously, there's, you know, without knowing the reason why he doesn't want to do it, is, you know, that he might have some particular reason. I don't know, but anyone can, I mean, people change their minds. So, you know, like if season 6 isn't even started filming yet, so if like if he changed his mind between now and then, it could happen.
Right. I hope it does. He was really good. He's obviously just on the basis of like 1 or 2 scenes, like everyone is such huge fans of Dutch and would love to see him come back. So I hope he does. Eliza asks, what do you think about the fan theory that Silver is dying of a terminal illness? Also, why do you think he was in the hospital in episode 9? Okay, so here's the thing. I'm working on a video. I'm going to do a full video of this. My personal feeling, and I'm going to get Rich's opinion here soon, is that he is not dying. Like, I think that's a very clever way that people have kind of put together the pieces that, oh, he's not doing well. He's concerned about his legacy. You know, he doesn't have kids. He wants to pass on his legacy. Oh, he happened to be in the hospital when Carmen and Johnny were in the hospital. And then in season 4, you know, he had his kind of PTSD episode when the cook, and he said, I'm not hungry. And the cook said, should I call the doctor, Mr. Silver? And so people are like putting that together and saying he's terminally ill. You know, I think this is propaganda, anti-Terry propaganda. You know, there are all kinds of reasons why you'd go to a hospital, especially if you're 70 plus years old. You could go to the hospital for any number of reasons. The biggest reason you could go to a hospital is if you're a philanthropist and you're rich and you're giving to the hospital foundation. If you're taking care of kids, underprivileged kids, you could be arranging something where they receive care. And we've seen him fight just amazingly. That is not someone who's terminally ill would not be fighting Chosen like that. No, I don't think so. I don't know. Rich, what's your feeling? Is Terry Silver dying?
Well, it's such a red herring, right? Like, hospital could mean so many things you just said. So I think that I understand why people would have that theory, but at the same time, I think that I could easily see the creators putting the hospital so people would have that theory just to misdirect it into something totally different.
Mhm.
And my guess is, given what we know of this show, that it's absolutely going to be the latter.
Like, for instance, that Kreese death scene,
Yeah.
right? Like, complete misdirection.
Yeah, it's all sleight of hand. It's like, over here, like, you got me again, Cobra Kai.
Yes, absolutely. And so, Rich, this has been like amazing fun talking to
So
you
fun.
today. We've covered a
And
lot
so
of ground.
all the comments, I mean, you guys are such good discussion topics, so much good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so excited to talk to Rich, and I'm so excited to talk to you guys who are watching and just hear your thoughts on our discussion. Really, thank you for joining us today. And Rich, tell us again about your shows coming up and your classes.
Oh yeah, I have weekly improv classes and workshops. You can find me at Rich Baker actor or at Rich Baker coaching, both on Instagram. And I've got a show coming up on Monday in Glendale, in the Los Angeles area, and a couple shows in October with Mission Improbable, as we talked about earlier. So yeah, if you're in the LA area and you want to come see me, I'd love to. Please do, and tell me tell me you saw me in this, and I'd love to meet you, and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And everyone, if you have even thought about doing any kind of acting, performance, or comedy, improv and the style of comedy that Rich teaches is amazing. It helps get you loosened up, and definitely check that out. You can check that out anywhere in the world. You can take his class. So definitely check it out. Amazing online classes. Rich, thank you so much. I look forward to having you back. And I know we'll have tons of more to talk about in the
Always
future.
love to be on this with you, Ken. Thank you so much for having me. You have created such a thing. You've got you're a leader amongst like gathering people together to talk about stuff that we love, and I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I always get jazzed. This is my favorite time of the week. I love coming on these live streams. I love talking with you, Rich. And everyone else, thank you so much. It's great that you have all these comments and you're so passionate about Cobra Kai and the fandom. And I look forward to seeing you next time on KenCast, where I'm going to try to have them at least once every Thursday and Saturday, and then maybe more too. So plenty of opportunities for Rich to come back. Rich, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of the Saturday.
You too, Ken.
All right, everyone, have a great Saturday, and we will see you next time on KenCast.